Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast, AI edition with Tiebe Parmentier from Belgium. So we're going to have a nice convo about Text.ai, which is a startup. Text is written TEKST.ai. And yeah, we're going to have a fun convo about AI, about what Tiebe is working on and so forth. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about Text?
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Tiebe, one of the co-founders and CTO of Text.ai. So at Text.ai, what do we do? So we are looking at enterprise companies, and what do we see on support? That they receive a lot of inbound traffic, which means they receive a lot of questions, complaints from their customers. It all enters into some shared mailbox, and from then the emails have to arrive at the right person or department, and this triage, this dispatching at Text.ai, we automate this. So for a company, they have a much more efficient customer support, and for the customers of these companies, they have a much faster response time, which means a much better support for them.
Right. My first question is, why wouldn't Zendesk create that natively in the app? Have you factored that in the strategy, or do you think they're going to acquire you one day? What are your thoughts on this?
So in general, in the AI, and what Zendesk does is they use like a generic model. So they have like one model, for example, that can do kind of triage, that can do dispatching. But the companies that we look at, they have their own internal systems. And what we actually do is we train models for them. So our whole system is built around training models specific on a company fast. So we have these generic models, and they can only get that far. While what we actually do for an enterprise or a bigger company, we train a model for them specific. So yeah, if you as a company have a different way of working than others in your vertical, have a different way of working in general, these generic models don't stretch that far that they can help you. And you actually need like custom models built for your company.
Sure. And these big companies, they don't have like AI departments, and they're not thinking about building these tools internally. Is that the thesis, or just that you as a startup, you're moving so fast, so quick, and building something with such a moat that they won't catch up to you and eventually they'll want to acquire you?
It's a really hard challenge to tackle. So, for example, as a company, like it has become easier to spin up like a generic model, but the engineering challenge to have hundreds of thousands of models in production, monitor them, keep them running. It's a really hard engineering challenge to tackle. And for example, if you are a platform or if you are a company and you want to do it on your own internal help desk system, for example, it's still hard to do. You can train an initial model, for example, but yeah, after a month, the model is already outdated. To keep up with it, it's a really hard challenge. And yeah, if you can buy a solution, it's much cheaper to do than build everything again in-house from scratch. The economics don't make sense to do it yourself.
Yeah, no, 100%. And well, what are the costs associated to running your own models? Like, do you use a company? Do you have your own GPUs? What are the costs associated to run your neural nets?
I can't tell everything, but we have you have a trade-off on bigger models. You have a better performance, and you have a trade-off on like smaller models, which are faster and cheaper to train. And at Text.ai, we really are at like the upper right of this trade-off. So we really, I can't tell you that much. It's quite it's CP, but yeah, we have been pushing towards the top right, and the trade-off between fast models and performant models. It makes it possible for us to really train fast, to retrain models really fast, while still having like that SOTA performance that everyone is looking for.
Right. And what's the accuracy of the system? Like, how much percent of the time do they route it to the right department or person?
Yeah, actually quite fun. It's even more accurate as a human. So what we see at companies, we have like, for example, 10 support agents who have to, for example, label emails. Even email is about, for example, banking or about finance. Everyone gives a different way of labeling it. So they have like their internal discussion, and the model actually averages out through over these agents, as all of them are actually the data that we train on, and we can see that we are like above human performance. Yeah, there is if you see an email, it's not and you have to pick some labels, you're sometimes not sure, for example, our model can actually average out through this due to the fact that multiple agents work in an enterprise.
So I see the accuracy rate is 94% here, and the time that you save in companies, which somewhat is arbitrary, but say it's 54%, which could mean millions and millions in dollars saved for companies. So what is your pricing? How do you go with the pricing?
Yeah, so the pricing is based on volume, as the return on investment for a company who has like 100,000 or 10,000 emails a month, the return on investment for them is also different. So we have a pricing per volume, but it's tiered. So for accounting, it's much easier to do. Pricing is based on that. If you have more emails, the price is naturally higher, but it's also the return on investment from using a solution like ours is also much higher for them.
Have you got investing so far, and are you seeking another round, and for how much and when?
We like last year we had like a really small batch of initial capital. We used it as working capital, but we have mostly been bootstrapping. Revenue from customers, which is what where we run on. But actually now we're also looking at a pre-seed investment. But we really are looking for smart capital. So like the smartness and the money is also really important on investments. We really want someone who does know what we actually do.
And yeah, so far bootstrap, as I'm understanding. When it comes to the price per seat, is it in the waters of like $15 per seat, $30 per seat? Like, what is the range here?
It's not per seat, so it doesn't matter how many agents work on it. It's based on the email traffic. So, for example, a company that has 10,000 of emails or 100,000 emails a month, pricing is based on that. So if you have 5 or 10 seats, for example, doesn't matter. It's the volume where the pricing is based
Right.
on.
Right. I would have you thought about a partnership with Front that integrates like all the mailboxes together? They're French startup based in the Silicon Valley. That could be pretty nice. Like what do you have on the roadmap in terms of the vision? Because let's say that you partner up with Front, it's messages from LinkedIn, it's messages from the website, the contact form, it's messages from Twitter, from Facebook, right? It integrates everything together. So what's on your roadmap?
A lot. So we have text.ai, but we actually also have next.ai, which is like our future vision for that. So indeed, text is text. It doesn't matter which format it is. Even the fact that we are speaking now, voice is actually language, which is actually text. We have a system to actually really train fast to have like a good speed versus performance trade-off. We really are at top of tech with that. And yeah, what we do next with it is it's really huge. We have a lot of expansion opportunities in that as well.
Because I would probably scan all these emails, and I'd have the AI understand what my company does, and I would suggest very complete answers, and then the human could decide if they actually send that or not. I haven't seen a startup do that well yet. For example, I use Canary Mail for my mailbox. They do have this AI function, but it's really, really primitive. So that'd be cool. Last question. You talked about technical challenges. How do you face those challenges as the CTO? Do you have a team helping you to do that? And how do you maintain your sanity in an AI craziness environment in which there's a new tool almost every day?
Yeah. So first of all, keeping up with it, I think Twitter is a great tool for that. I follow a lot of other great CTOs and other people in the AI space. I think they really share they are. I really feel that they are the fastest to share new stuff that's out. So that way we have and we also have our internal channels where we share cool stuff. So we have the tech people looking out at Twitter, for example, sharing cool AI stuff that might be applicable for our space. And indeed, I think for a technical challenge like we tackle, what we actually need is like gigabrain people on product who can really help us push forward to building like the greatest enterprise AI stuff that we have ever seen on customer support.
And when you feel overwhelmed, I see that you've been an animator managing children of 6 to 8 years old for 2 years. When you have children screaming around and pulling their hairs out and screaming, how do you stay patient?
Yeah, I think they are children. You have to keep that in mind and go with the flow. I think zone out a bit maybe. I think it's quite. I think it's quite important to remember that they are children. Everyone was a child once.
Yeah, that's good advice right there. So thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
Yes, I would advise to look at LinkedIn. There we are mostly active, or look at our website, which is actually just our name as well. So text.ai, written in Dutch, tekst.ai.